Hey everybody and happy Halloween! Welcome to a special edition video where me and my friend Michael are gonna sit right down and we're gonna talk about all the different Halloween movies. I don't know why I'm getting into the Goku voice. And do a little bit of a ranking video. We haven't done one of these in a while, so hey, what better day than Halloween? So I know this is coming out a little bit later than usual, but I've had a busy couple of weeks and I just couldn't get to this in time. So I'm actually filming it on Halloween. It is 3:37 p.m. as I'm filming it, 2020, in case you're watching this way later. And I have the tier ranker all loaded up and I got all 11 Halloween films lined out. I've seen all these movies dozens of times in my life. I did manage to rewatch I rewatched 9 of them. I didn't get to rewatch the Rob Zombie ones, so those I'm going to have to kind of go based on memory, not fresh appreciation. Guess a couple of things I should say too is if you want more cool stuff, you want to help support the channel, you want to get some extra content like today, not only do you get, I guess, a Blair Witch Let's Play, and then we're doing Star Wars Squadrons on alternating days. Today you're also over there exclusively going to get me ranking 8 Universal Monster movies, so that kind of stuff and more is over at my Patreon for $1 a month to get an extra video every single day. We're looking up TheEricButts using the links in the description below, and I do like to remind you too that of course we'll be here every day doing this thing we do with the reactions and all that, so we will get through this. We will get through this together, and it can be fun to say it with me, so let's do it. We will get through this. We will get through this together. My glasses are smudged. I'm still having my coffee. We had a late drunken movie night last night, which was awesome, so bear with me a little bit. But anyways, let's get into the ranking, shall we? Because this may take a minute. Now, like I said, I rewatched all 9. This is going to be my opinions as of now. My opinions can change on a daily basis, a momentary basis even. So, you know, if I were to rank these again in a year or so, they might change. Because I have some new appreciations and depreciations for certain things. So I guess what we're going to kind of do is we're going to throw these into ranks, like tiers of S, A, B, C, D, F, Beyond F. I don't know that I have a Beyond F. And then I'll kind of go back through and sort them in those ranks, and we'll figure out my current ranking order. They're all great. I'm going to sneeze. Oh, maybe not. Maybe I'm going to fight it. Okay. So I guess let's start with the original. Where is it? Where's the thing? Wait a minute. Where is the original on here? I know it's on here. There it is. That coffee needs to do its thing. It's not a C tier. I'm just putting it up here to start so we can start talking about it. All right. The original is a classic. It's a classic for a reason. It still holds up incredibly well. It's tight, wonderfully paced. John Carpenter's incredible music. Jamie Lee Curtis is fantastic in it. Donald Pleasance is wonderful in it. Everything about it, the mood, the atmosphere, this is a quintessential film for watching around Halloween time, or just any time you want one of the original slasher films and one of the greats. So it definitely gets to go way up the list. I will also tell you, I watched this one on a 4K disc for the first time, and I was very impressed with the 4K quality of it. Maybe not so much in the HDR, but I do think the resolution of that actually helped, so that was quite nice. And of course I do love the original, and it is a classic, and it did create so many copycats, so I'm going S tier. It's one of those that even when you think about it, and you're like, ugh, I've seen it 100 times, but then you watch it and you're like, oh yeah, there's a reason I've seen it 100 times, it's really good. So that goes up there for sure. Alright, so let's do the original, the first Halloween 2. Now this is definitely a bit more straight up slashery. I love that it continues right after the first film. I think some of the kills are kind of fun. Again, we get more Loomis. I like Loomis running around the town all crazy like. The whole Ben Tramer debacle was kind of cool, and a nice callback to the mention of Laurie having an interest in Ben Tramer in the first movie. And then it has a pretty fantastic ending with all... I'm gonna spoil all these movies, by the way, if you haven't seen them, just be aware. A pretty fantastic ending with the kind of whole fire thing, and I'll be light on the spoilers as best I can, I guess. So that's really nice too. It doesn't quite have the Halloween-esque element of it, where most of it is set inside a hospital, so it does lose some points there, and in a lot of ways this one's kind of forgettable. Like, it's not bad by any means, you know, but it's not real memorable. It is kind of the standard slasher trope genre. Again, it's one of the good standard slashers, but I think I'm gonna go B tier. Yeah, B tier. Yeah, I might change my mind, but we're going B tier right now. Now, Halloween 3, we're gonna save till the end. I'm gonna talk about that one later, because it's not a Michael Myers film. Not that that's a bad thing. So we're gonna move on to 4, 5, and 6. We have the Thorn cult trilogy, which I love. I know it's not everybody's jam, but I love the Thorn idea of it. I love it being this curse that's like generational or whatnot, and I kind of hate that all the modern versions keep going away from that. Although in the most recent Halloween film, there's some elements where it almost comes back to some of that cult-like fanaticism that I kind of wish they had gone further with, and maybe they will. I don't know. Sorry, I'm still decongesting from last night and everything, so I'm wiping my nose. Sorry. So I really like that element of it. 4, 5, and 6 really kind of hold special places in my heart. Those were the Halloween films of my youth. I was a little bit younger than Jamie Lloyd when I was watching the film, so of course I grew up with that crush on Danielle Harris kind of thing, like a lot of people did. You know, but like I said, I was of her age at the time. But I really liked it because it kind of became more of the modern slasher of that era. Again, high level modern slasher of that era. But 4 especially has a very high Halloween vibe for me. Like, it really gets the time and the atmosphere and the mood as well as the first one, if not more so, because again, they did have a little bit more of a budget. The ending is kind of weird. I do like the characters. The kills are pretty good. I like that it's a continuation. I think I'm going... Yeah, this one holds up for me. I'm going A tier on that. Yeah. Yeah, I feel good about that. All right, now we're getting a little controversial. We're going to sit here for right now. Halloween 5. A lot of people think this is the worst Halloween, or at least the second or third worst Halloween. I don't know, man. I rewatched it. I rewatched it with the Joe Bob Briggs commentary on the last drive-in on Shudder. That's how I did 4 and 5, because I thought, why not? Let's rewatch the Joe Bob bits as well. And he just rips this one a new one. And, you know, it's fun. It's all in good fun. But I actually kind of like this one. I get the problems with it. I get a lot of it really doesn't make sense. But it has a very soft spot in my heart because of the very ending. That really terrified me as a young child. Anytime I had to go to the bathroom from then on for months, I'd have to look behind the shower curtain to make sure Michael Myers wasn't hiding in there to jump out and get me. So I do have a soft spot for this. This is a very fond, nostalgic watch for me, and I think some of the kills are pretty good. And, you know, again, it has a really good Halloween vibe. I think the who survives, who doesn't is fairly shocking and twisting. But then again, they don't pay off like the twist of 4 and everything. But then we do get the Man in Black, and we add more mystery and like kind of cult-like mystery to Michael Myers. So I really appreciate all of that as well. But yeah, it is kind of all over the place. But again, we are talking about my opinions and my taste, so I don't think I can leave this one at C. I think I'm at least bumping it to a B. I think it's on at least Halloween 2 territory for me. That feels right. All right, so let's talk about Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers. Now, of course, there are 2 versions of this. I guess I should have mentioned the first movie and the second movie, I believe, have 2 versions as well because of the TV versions. I, of course, watched the theatrical versions. Halloween 6, there is the producer's cut, and there is the theatrical version. This time, I just went with theatrical. I do like some of the changes of the producer's cut, but I always also had a very soft spot for part 6. That was always a big deal for me growing up. And of course, Paul Rudd, you know, so there's bonus points for Paul Rudd. But I will say this one, it's not holding up over time as well as some of the others do. Like 4 and 5, flaws and all, they're still like nostalgic and good to me as I remember. 6 with time is getting harder and harder to watch, and there's some things in there that are just really sloppy. And in the theatrical version especially, I understand that, you know, Donald Pleasance passed shortly after this one or while they were finishing this one, but the ending feels really unsatisfying. So I am going to have to knock it a little bit for that, and again, its age is showing. It does have the Halloween vibe pretty good. The new characters aren't terribly memorable. The kills aren't terribly memorable. I do like kind of the shock jock element of it. I think that was a neat little addition. But ultimately, Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers, I don't know, it's got to be lower on the list. It's at least a C. I'm debating about going C or D on it. Okay, if it wasn't for Paul Rudd, it would be a D. But Paul Rudd is boosting this to a C. So yeah, I just wish he was still Tommy Jarvis in the new ones, but I understand why he's not, so. All right, so now we're moving on to Halloween H2O. We're gonna just start with it in the C class. We'll see where it goes. This movie is very, very, very 90s. It's also the first time they erased previous canon, which I don't like because, again, they threw out all the Thorn stuff. They completely ignored Jamie Lloyd, and there are ways they could have worked around that. You know, they could have had some little throwaway line about, you know, Jamie thought Jamie Lloyd was dead, or I'm sorry, Laurie thought Jamie Lloyd was dead or something. I always feel like there's some way they could have included that and still told the story they're telling. So that always bothered me a little bit. Also, I think the music kind of messes me up a little too, because I'm a fan of Marco Beltrami. I love his Scream scores of that era. But John Otterman, I can't remember exactly, did a phenomenal actual score for this movie. And in the end, they barely used it. Like, you hear it in the opening theme and the closing theme, and maybe they use a little in the movie, but mostly they took a bunch of tracks from other horror films with Marco Beltrami and kind of edited them together last minute. And I think that kind of suffers the film a little bit. But other than that, it's actually pretty good. Like, it's impressive how engaging this one is. Like, again, it's silly. There's some dumb stuff in it. I don't like the way Michael Myers' mask looks in it, but it really does draw you in. Like, I give a crap about these characters. I like them. Young Joseph Gordon-Levitt in the beginning, even. Josh Hartnett is introduced here. And, you know, I think all the characters are pretty interesting. I love, too, that Jamie Lee Curtis's mom is in the movie, her actual mom, and I'm totally blanking on the mom's name, and I'm terrible about that, but she, Vivian Lee? But she was the lady that died in the shower in Psycho, that famous death, and a whole bunch of other stuff too. But I thought that was a nice touch, and she's driving the car from Psycho when you see her leaving the school and everything. They do a little musical homage to that. So, I mean, there's all kinds of little things in here. Plus, LL Cool J, like, was he in more than 2 movies? Because I know and love 2 movies he's in. I love him in this, I love him in Deep Blue Sea. We needed a deepest, reddest, Michael's knife is like a sharp thing. I don't know. I was trying to riff on the song from Deep Blue Sea. But I need to drink this coffee. Actually, it's probably drinkable now. But, you know, so, but then there's also the things too, like, mild spoilers for this. When LL Cool J jumps around the corner and the man, I can't think of the actor's name. I keep wanting to say Mandy Patinkin, but I don't think that's right. Maybe it is. Anyways, when he just unloads like the gun on him and you see him get shot multiple times, but then later he shows up to save the day. And then, you know, when they have the wrap-up scene with all the ambulances and stuff, he's just got like just the bandage around his head and he's just walking around talking to his wife like he didn't just take a bunch of bullets. So there's things like that that are kind of silly, but the tension is good. Michelle Williams, I have a huge crush on from the Dawson Creek era, so I was really enjoying that, and I still enjoy that element of it. And again, it flies, it looks good. It maybe doesn't have as much of the Halloween elements because they aren't like totally decked out and all have the Halloween decorations and stuff. But I do quite enjoy this. Plus, Michael's escape stuff is pretty good. But it did wipe out some canon. You know, I'm right now I'm going between C and B. You know, it's at least a B. Is it an A? That's the next question. Is it an A? I wish I hadn't scrolled that. Sorry. Is Halloween H2O an A? We'll think about it. We'll come back. All right. We're getting through these. Not as long as I thought. So, okay, now, now we have Halloween Resurrection. I'm kidding, it's not actually Beyond Death. I'm gonna start with a C, and then we'll see where we go from there. This movie I legit, like, hated when it came out. Legit hated. I actually think it's improving with time. There's some really ridiculous, dumb shit in here, but, and even some of, like, the reality show TV stuff, like, it doesn't hold up, it doesn't make sense. I saw one review and they brought up a good point about, this was like, what, the mid-late 90s, something like that, or even early 2000s, but, like, internet wasn't that good. You aren't streaming a show like that where they can jump around to all the different cameras over the internet in that era. And then, you know, Busta Rhymes kung fu fighting Michael Myers is ridiculous, but I've grown to love the ridiculousness of it. You could almost throw this in the class of like The Asylum makes a Halloween film. It's not quite that ridiculous, but it has some of that energy to it, where now I kind of love that about it. The part I actually least like is the opening like 15 minutes mini sequel to H2O, and then it just becomes its whole other movie. So I don't really care that much for that. I don't think that was really well handled. And there is some really silly shit there too, about all these, oh, it's Double Toasted, that was the review I was watching. All these inmates are like just out of their cells, wandering around. There's a guy imitating serial killers just wandering around, has giant scissors in his cell, things like that. It's like, yeah, that's a little messed up. And then you get the reality TV stuff, which is kind of messed up too. But you get Katie Sackhoff, but it's weird because I still see her as Starbucks, so seeing her as a younger sex pot type is kind of strange for me. But I do like the Myers house design in here. I do think it's pretty creepy. The kills are kind of boring and kind of silly. And you know, the way people don't notice them and everything. I do think the ending is pretty awesome. Although when there is a moment when the survivors want to look at Michael's burnt face corpse, and he's still like got a full mask on, so he could easily have just swapped it with somebody else like he did at the end of H2O. But I do like the way they worked out the beheading of H2O so they could make a sequel. I will give them points for thinking that's pretty clever. And there are some really good one-liners in here, and it's the energy of Busta Rhymes that really makes it, like, trick or treat, motherfucker. Like, I mean, that's just, his delivery of that line is awesome. And then there was a few others that I really enjoyed too. So, alright, I like it more than Curse of Michael Myers, but I can't really put it B tier. I can't put it B tier. But I'm gonna go ahead and put it ahead of Curse of Michael Myers. Can I do that up here? How does that work? There we go. Yeah, okay. So we're starting to work the ranking, although I gotta rethink those as we go along. All right, we're almost there. So now we have the 2018, I believe, Halloween. So this is the obviously we'll do the Rob Zombie stuff with Halloween 3 because I think that's all separate universe, even though there's so many timelines in the ones we're looking at. But this is like the third time we've had a Halloween 2, essentially, and it's great. It's just great. I've only seen this one 2 or 3 times so far, but I'm liking this one more and more and more every single time I watch it, even though I have a love-hate relationship with them completely erasing all the canon before it. I do like where they're going, and I like where they're setting up for the future. I love this whole idea that Laurie Strode is a bit more of a Sarah Connor in this, and she's been preparing. I love that even her daughter, who you think is ignored all the preparing, kind of has her own badassery tricks up her sleeve, like kind of at the end when she's crying and then she's not kind of thing. Like, that is really cool. The kills are brutal and heartbreaking. Like, you really feel the violence in this again. I also really like the granddaughter of Laurie Strode and the struggles she goes through. It really shows some interesting things, like just how boys, particularly at that age, not all, but you know, I mean, even like the nice guy friend, you know, he's comforting her and then she shows a slight bit of interest, or he tries to make a move on her and it's like, ugh, can't dudes just like be friends, you know, kind of thing. They don't explicitly get into that, but I was really getting that vibe out of it this time, and I really appreciated those elements of it as well. But yeah, the kills are brutal and brilliant. That whole like tracking thing with the kids through Halloween and then Michael going through the different houses, that whole sequence is phenomenal. I love the crazy doctor. That's what I was talking about, kind of Thorn cult-esque. And I was like, I wonder if they'll go somewhere with that. Although his death seemed a little squishy, let's just say that much. Even for Michael, it's like, oh, was that a balloon? But it was interesting that he did all that, and a shocking twist when it first happens. So I really appreciate that. I'm anxious to see what they do with Halloween Kills now. The music is fantastic. Carpenter is back, and like the original themes are great, and the new themes he added in are just awesome. And I absolutely love everything about this, and I'm loving it more and more with every single viewing. This is going way up here. It's at least an A tier. You know what? Yeah, it's an S tier. I mean, again, maybe if I see it a dozen more times, I'll find things to nitpick that I don't like, so I like it less. But right now, it's a damn S tier. All right, so that's the mainline Halloween films. Let's just jump in here and do these other things real quick. So, again, I did not get a chance to re-watch the Rob Zombie movies. It's not a D. So I'm kind of going from memory here. I really like these movies as Rob Zombie films, not necessarily as Halloween films. I don't necessarily care about the exploration of the psyche behind Michael as a child, but if that's what it is, it does work well. The aesthetics are really nice. Michael's pretty brutal. I love the kids, the versions of Laurie, and we bring back Danielle Harris now as not Nancy. Is it Nancy? Nancy Loomis? Well, anyways, we bring her back. Christina Cleave is fantastic in her smaller role in this, in the PJ Souls role. And then it just gets really... And I like Malcolm McDowell a lot. If anybody was going to have to be the new Donald Pleasance, he did a real good job of doing it. So I do really appreciate this one, but I can't say a lot about it right now because it's not fresh in my memory. So I'm going to go at least B tier. Yeah, I'll go B tier. Okay, Halloween 2, his remake. Again, this one especially, it's not a D. I especially say as a Halloween film, maybe it is a D as a Halloween film, as a Michael Myers film. But as a Rob Zombie film, I think it's one of the strongest. I would probably put it more in the B or maybe even A class as a Rob Zombie film. But since we're doing this in the context of Halloween films, I think I am going to leave it as a D. Because we have so much Michael without his mask. We have Michael actually speaking, depending on which cut you watch. I finally got my hands on the theatrical cuts. I did not realize the theatrical cuts were so different. I don't know that I ever saw them. So yes, so just keep that in mind if you're a big fan of this movie. I'm putting it in D territory because contextually within Halloween, I think it's a D, but as a Rob Zombie film, it's probably more of a B or an A. So, don't get too terrified if you're a huge, or mad at me if you're a big old fan. All right, now Halloween 3. It's totally an F, and I'm totally kidding, it's not an F. Halloween 3, when I was young, of course I did not like it. It made me mad. It's like, no, Michael, that's dumb, and it is a little confusing. I think it would have worked better had it been the original plan was this is what they wanted to do with Halloween 2, but the producers were like, no, we need to do a straight sequel. So if Halloween 3 had been Halloween 2, I think it would have worked stronger, and then they would have gone the anthology for the rest of the way, or at least, you know, different types of stories. And having it as 3, I think, kind of hurts it. And again, I can agree with everybody else too. If you take Halloween off it and just call it Season of the Witch, it's a great movie. And that's how I'm looking at this one, because I can't use it as contextual within the Halloween thing, but it has the Halloween vibe. It's absolutely there. It's creepy. The Silver Shamrock thing is amazingly in your head. It moves fast. The couple of moments of violence and gore are fantastical, and I love them. John Carpenter's music, I believe, is fantastic as well. And this one just really holds up. And not only does this one really hold up, I feel like this one's getting better and better with age. It's definitely more of a Twilight Zone-esque kind of feel, and I love that about it. So, you know what? I know I'm going to take some shit for this, but if I'm going to take some shit, then we might as well put this all the way in the S class, because, yeah, Halloween 3 is an S-class movie. If you can get over it not being Michael Myers, it's an amazing film. A little cheesy, a little weird, a little of its era, but I think it's a perfect Halloween time movie. So there we go. All right, so real quick, let's finish up these rankings. So let's look in this B section. I feel strong with C and D, those being the bottom of my list in the context of it being Halloween films. I feel strong everything is in the correct tier, except H2O might belong in the A tier. You know what? Because I enjoyed it way more this time than I did before, I'm going to put it in the A tier. Yeah, all right. So, and then I think that's right. I think I prefer 4 over H2O. In this tier, honestly, and this is solely because I've seen the original so much, I'm going to put the new one ahead of the original. And yeah, I could easily watch Halloween 3 more than I can rewatch Halloween. And that's not a knock at Halloween. Obviously, it's a great movie, but it's getting demoted a little bit because I've seen it so much. So yeah, I feel pretty good with that S tier ranking right there. I feel good with that A tier. Actually, I think I like Halloween 5 more than Halloween 2. And I think I like Rob Zombie's Halloween more than Halloween 2. So I feel good with that, and then I feel good with that. So there you go. That is my Halloween movie ranking. Number 1, Halloween 2018. Number 2, Halloween 3. Number 3, Halloween 1978. Number 4 is Halloween 4. That's appropriate. Number 5 is H2O. Number 6 is Halloween 5. Number 7 is Rob Zombie's Halloween. Number 8 is Halloween 2, the original. Number 9 is Halloween Resurrection. I'm actually kind of surprised it ended up so low on the list because I do enjoy it. Number 10 is Halloween The Curse of Michael Myers, theatrical cut. And then number 11 is Halloween 2, just because it's the least Halloween movie of all the Halloween movies here. So that's my thoughts, that's my ranking. Happy Halloween. I hope you're gonna have a good and a safe one. But let me know, how do you feel about my rankings? What are your rankings? What are some of your favorite Halloween movies? Let me hear it. Geek out with me in the comments. I look forward to hearing what you have to say. Click that thumbs up button. Give me that good old thumb of encouragement, as I do love to be encouraged. If you want to, check out the Patreon. Go watch that other ranking video and all the other cool stuff we're doing over there. $1 a month, TheEricButts, or use the links in the description below. Don't forget that we will get through this. We will get through this together. And now I'm going to get out of here so I can go enjoy my coffee, enjoy Halloween, and I'll see you all later.